Welcome everyone. Today we have another new episode, but we have very famous guest for World Talent Economy Forum, Professor Gwayabadi. Even already different university, different policymakers, they are asking me, "Where is your philosopher?" When we can discuss with him, I said yes, he will join in these sessions. So he is our philosopher for World Talent Economy Forums, and we believe that he will be our advisors and he can guide our hundred of like organizations, those who join in World Talent Economy Forum. Beside that, we have Dr. Stan Fosters from California Miramar University. Already I do discuss with many students about California Miramar University. They are really impressed about at least how Dr. Gwayabadi and his team present his university in World Talent Economy Forums. We are actually hope that in between the COVID periods, we can make a good collaborations in Malaysia, in between California and our student, our youth community, especially our young community, will get a lot of support from California Miramar University. Even though government policymakers from, you can check World Talent Economy Forums, planning ministry from different developing nations, they are also joining in World Talent Economy Forums. Hopefully it will be very interesting and effective sessions for us. I want to start from our philosopher, Dr. Gwayabadi. Hello sir, how are you today?
Thank you, Tony. The reason I'm laughing is not because I agree with your philosopher aspect, number one. Okay, I'm by no means a philosopher. I right now announce it. No way. Even though I might have some sort of a philosophical intonations, that doesn't mean by no means that I am qualified for such a name. Right now, I absolutely totally reject the notion of being a philosopher. That's issue one. By the way, I have a few people asking for the link to the meeting. Can you just send me the link to the meeting through the
definitely.
PRBC presidents? Can you just
yes.
there? Yes. So yeah, that's that. I mean, just for a historical purpose, just let me give you a background. My background, I come from engineering background. And that's specifically in an area that really relates to today's situation, and that's control theory. So I have a PhD from University of Colorado at Boulder in control theory. And control theory, usually we're looking at causal systems where you can measure, and then like airplanes flying, missiles flying, robots working, things like you make things do exactly as you expect them. That's the whole idea behind control theory. Now, control theory has many different applications, from social to mechanical to electrical to other aspects. Even in business, people use control theory. As I said, you want to control something. Now, control something that is pretty complex. And because that's the case, I've been lucky to move. And because I did not like the area of my expertise, namely, I did my PhD for a NASA center, and I work on the Skylab, and so I did work under Star Wars. And application would usually mean getting into missile control or whatever. That was not my cup of tea. Therefore, I moved my area of work into helping businesses develop. To begin with, I started doing some work on robotics, and later on, I realized that strategy development seems to be very much in need, and therefore, I have been working in developing controllable, if you may call it, controllable strategies for businesses. I did a few strategy programs for at the national level. So I was in charge of a national development of information and communication technology agenda for a nation. So I directly reported to the cabinet. I have done that for an airline industry, for a bus manufacturing, as well as for some small and medium. And what I mean by small and medium, and this has been always a place where people need an agreement. When we say, sometimes we say small business, sometimes we say SME, small and medium enterprises. We're looking at enterprises that hire or have less than 500 people working in them, and or a number of $500 million. That is the essence. And today, what we're discussing, we're looking at first, why small businesses? Because their inherent nature is that uh, they have been hurt more than any other aspect of our society, and why this is the case, and uh, what is happening, why, first of all, they were so vulnerable to such uh, disastrous results. Hundreds of thousands of small businesses have gone out of business. We're going to look at that and see how such entities, in view of unexpected events, have the tendency to go under. We're going to see how we could create a level of resilience to be able to help such companies. And most of us come from that sector of business world, namely small businesses. And then we look at different models and different ways of being able to deal with the fact at hand. And to be honest, we call the fact at hand, or post COVID, the new normal. So we're going to be looking at what small businesses can do, dealing with the jolts that are happening and even killing many of the small businesses. And we're going to at least show you and propose to you some strategic resilience frameworks that, or methods and theories that people tend to be looking at, and maybe shed some light on this very disastrous situation.
Mhm.
And I'm
Thank
still
you.
waiting for that link.
In the comment section. Sorry,
Oh,
sorry.
in
Private
your
chat.
comment section. Okay, very good. Thank you so much.
Private chat. I share.
Yes.
Uh, can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
Yes, Dr. Stan Foster, you are also representing California Miramar University. And most important thing is that like you have to handle different students, youth community. And I believe that from your student, there are many entrepreneurs, many successful business people also doing their PhD, DBA, and MBA from your university. Can you share few of your experience with our audience? Because maybe our audience will be very much motivated why California Miramar University is important for them.
Okay. One of the things our organization has tried to center on is to maintain uh, an affordable tuition for our students here. We started it out predominantly in the United States, and then we started about 7 years ago. We were approved by the Department of Homeland Security, and then we started having a larger international student base. And we like that. Actually, we got an incredible comment from our student body. He said going to class is like being in a session of the United Nations, right? So you have students from all over the world in these classes, and it really gives a different perspective to their take and how they see what they're learning in all the various courses through different cultural sets of eyes. So we've liked that. We've maintained that affordable tuition, and we think it serves us well. The other thing that we've done that really plays to the COVID situation is that our classes always have contained an online element. We predominantly used our learning management system. We've had several different accreditations in the United States that are recognized by the United States Secretary of Education, and that's what qualifies us to be able to give grants and loans to our American students. But it's a very complicated landscape. We are regulated by 7 different departments: the Department of Defense for our military, the Department of Veterans Affairs, Department of Homeland Security, and so on. And so it's a highly regulated situation, but we have tried to find a perfect balance for that. And I think that with Dr. Drgawabathi, he came in to the university almost 2 years ago now, and he's made a tremendous difference. His strategic thinking And the upper management of the university thought that was a brilliant move because, as Dr. Drgawabathi said when he came to us, is that in several years the educational landscape is going to be totally different than it is now. And so we started 2 years ago trying to come up and meet what the educational system of the future is going to look like. And then, of course, the COVID
Yes, Dr. Stan Foster. Mr. Mu, can you add something about this California Miramar University? Yes, from your perspective and from your experience.
I actually am in a quite unique position with California Miramar University. I'm both a student there and I'm a faculty there. So I teach undergraduate while I'm a doctorate student at California Miramar University. So I got the best of both ends. So my experience there as a student, first of all, it's just I'm tired. I have been to many different schools. At a doctoral level, you better have been a lot of schools. And you have your undergraduate, graduate. In my case, I have 2 graduates. So I have been nonprofit, public university, and for-profit research institutions, and I have never been to a university like this. And I heard bad things about it before I come in. And Dr. Drgawabathi can attest to this. I was actually trying to get out as soon as I get in because, due to some personal reasons, I got in the first time, and then I realized, this might not be what I want because, I heard bad things about the private for-profit universities, but Dr. Drgawabathi just sat me down, and we had a coffee, and he said, "Stay, give it a time, and let's see what happens because I'm trying to do something here." And I just almost like a leap of faith. I just decided to stay. And I do not regret it a bit. And to this California Miramar University, and it turns out the decision is just so correct on so many counts. To this California Miramar University, in a world where all universities are struggling, we are actually thriving. Most of universities are lowering in their recruiting, or students are not really showing up. Our university has a higher engagement rate. Our university have a higher admission rate. And more people are coming in. So why is that? And this ties into this topic, right? We are a small university. In a way, we are a small business ourselves. If you look at the university as a business, I know it's not a popular opinion among the academics, but the reason we can pull that off is we are ready for it. And how are we ready for it? Because we are ready for the age of the internet. And that sounds like a last century thing to say. Ready for the world, the age of internet. We're already in it for 2 decades. I would argue 3 decades. And are you still not ready? And that is true. The most of universities, institutions, you wouldn't think them as they are not ready for the internet. But turns out the professors are not ready to teach remotely. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to deal with Zoom, deal with some school use what's the thing? Microsoft Team, right? So and Team Viewer, some schools use those as well. But professors is not equipped for that. They are smart people, but they are set in their ways, and they can't change. They are not agile, and we are none of that. We at the start of the pandemic, we are ready to change, anyways. Right? It doesn't matter if there's a pandemic or not. We are getting our stuff together. We are trying to do our best to give our students what the real world needs. And the real world, and this is me transitioning to the professor, putting on the professor hat. The real world doesn't need a bunch of nurses talking about all theoretical stuff and not even touching on what can be done, right? But in our university, it's a different story. We focus on what needs to be done first. And then we find what are the knowledge necessary for our students to pull it off. And with that mindset, what do people need nowadays? Remote working, even before the pandemic, was a trend. Small office, home office, not necessarily home office, small office, shared office space, those are on the rise, right? We have I know WeWork kind of went out of business, but that's due to their internal management issue. But we have places like um, Regis shared workspace. They have those, and if you go to any big city, you just find a tall office building and walk in there, and you say, "Do you have a community working program?" And probably they have. Companies renting entire floors or entire buildings to just share the space, and it's just become smaller and smaller. People even working for a larger firm, they prefer to work in an office that's near them, and the remote work is a new thing, and that ties into the so-called 4.0 of things. Everything is on the internet, but with that as the new reality, universities are not ready to teach their students to work in an environment like that. And we recognize that. People pick up skills here and there, but they don't have to stay down for all that time. So that is why, in my opinion, our university is actually thriving in a situation where everybody else is kind of struggling. Because the things we teach
Yes.
actually fits in the model of
Thank you.
work.
Thank you. Thank you. I want to go to Mr. Eric, but before that, for this, as we are representing the website from World Talent Economy Forum about this California Miramar University, I want to know more about the visions, about the missions of the California Miramar University from Dr. Ali Goabadi, because we are observing you have a very good website and very strong collaborations with students. And what I understand from my uh, like almost like all of my time in academia, you are a very good academic person and a very nice person. So how do you handle your too much of students and their different initiative, Dr. Ali?
Yes, again, you're being kind. You're being kind. But if you go down a little bit, just go down on this website because you're just showing the pic there. If you just scroll down, there are you get a better chance. Can you scroll down on this? Yes. If you scroll down, you'll see that who we are, especially at the almost. There are many aspects to our university, and as it was mentioned by Mo, there are videos here I welcome you to watch. You can see who we are, what are our background, but if you still scroll down, there is a place for those people that are interested in our DBA. They can see how our DBA works. So there are the DBA series videos here. And then you see our 50 strong DBA students that each and every one of them are working on a very well-defined project. Now, what we really are doing, and I think my friends have already alluded to, is that we ask the question. And again, today we're going to be discussing this about small and medium-sized businesses. And the question was, how does the future look like? Let's not worry about the past because the past is gone. As a matter of fact, COVID-19 has made this reality stark and has made it very clear that we need to be able to anticipate the future. Now, because we've been working on this for the past 2 years and we were preparing to make the university relevant. Because why do you go to university? Okay, you want to be called a doctor. I understand that. But why? Because majority of successful people tend not to have a degree. Let's say, and I have talked to many strong financially strong individuals who were insisting for their children to attend school. And the children were saying, listen, my dad made it, became a millionaire or a billionaire, and he never went to school. So the question is, why would and what kind of university would a father who's rich and who's made it insist his son or daughter to attend to? So we've been listening to the market, and it seems like what parents who already have made it without going to university were insisting for their children to go to was a university that has a well-defined curriculum that prepares their children to be able to manage their corporation, company, business under very difficult and competitive condition. So our university has been designed to give our graduates the acumen, the know-how, that they know how to deal with a real world situation, even though they do study the latest of everything. But everything they do in a classroom is reality based. Everything they do in a classroom is based on exactly what they are expected to do if they were the leader, the strategic developer, someone who is managing at a very high level, the decision maker. And this is what our university is known for. And as you've seen, we've received many different awards for our graduates. And to be honest, we don't need to do much because our graduates are doing a great deal. We actually, our recruitment is happening by people who have graduated and have told others, why don't you go here? A university that really provides you a solution that you can use for the rest of your life. It doesn't matter today if you memorize. It doesn't matter how many homeworks you do. It matters how well can you deal with the problem at hand and how can you find the solution, because most solutions are well defined. There are so many solution providers. The question is, what solution would solve your problem? And to be able to quickly ascertain what solution under what condition is good enough for it to be customized to solve your problem. That is the trick.
Mhm. Yes, thank you. Mr. Eric, what do you want to add uh, like about this California Miramar University as well as Pacific Rim Business Council? Because now in the COVID situation, we need a strong collaboration. Business need more collaborations. So how actually small organization can get more support from PRBC?
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Very good. I had some problems with my mic, so glad technology is working. So why would a business council be partnering so close to a university? That seems like, what's that got to do? I mean, universities are nice, but business council is all about advice and leadership, decision making, helping small and micro businesses move ahead. And so let's take a look at what our big problems are. Our big problems right now is, how do you respond to what's going on right now? A completely different problem is, how do you recover? You know, once you've got it under control, how do you get back to where you've gone before? And then the real question is, let's not stop there. Let's move into the future. Let's thrive. Different problem solving. Traditionally, universities have been great at compiling and organizing information. So when students come out, they've got a really good idea of what's going on. What they don't have is skills in problem solving, experience in actually solving problems using those skills, and they don't have the connections where they can reach out and call people. So we needed a university that basically focuses on gathering information very quickly. In the new world, speed is more important than elegance because things are happening so fast. So how can you quickly gather right now relevant information, apply from that information, go out what the solutions are, how to apply them, put together real solutions and implement, which is the big things companies now. Companies don't have 1 to 3 years to train somebody new. That used to be okay. Come with the information, we'll figure it out. We don't have room for that, no time for that anymore. So that is our real interest with the California Miramar universities, this idea of research centers that are doing modern, relevant research that are able to then apply that research to real world problems and be able to work with all businesses, including small and micro businesses. So the students that we're working with are now used to working with research centers and applying that directly to businesses. And that's what the Pacific Rim Business Council is all about, is interfacing with companies all over the world and teaching them to respond, recover, and thrive globally. So hopefully that answers your question.
Thank you. Dr. Stan Foster, what do you want to add, especially at present condition, the COVID period, how students should choose their academic, like universities and this kind of things, and how they choose their careers, how they actually collaborate, like academic things as well as their career related things?
Well, thank you. Again, I apologize for my loss here a little bit ago. My laptop I was using decided to go into auto Windows update. So I am back. No, the main differentiator for California Miramar University is our forward thinking and the practicality that we've always had that in our mission statement, to be a practical education. And accreditation now more and more in the United States is urging schools to try to go and interface with industry. But most of the universities in the United States haven't done a good job at that. As a matter of fact, many large corporations and even some medium-sized corporations have their own corporate universities because they're not getting from the university pools on the graduates the type of skill sets they need to be, hit the ground running. So one of the things that we've done, and Dr. Drgawabathi's guidance in this, is we've had a center of becoming a corporate university, and becoming those practical training, those practical skills, and reaching out. And part of the reason for partnering with the Pacific Rim Business Councils is to find what these small and micro businesses need, and then provide training. And perhaps that training isn't a degree, perhaps it's just a certificate program. But again, in these COVID times, being able to up your skill sets is a massively important feature that all businesses need to do. So I think that we have the right solution at the right time. We haven't just come up on this at the beginning of COVID. We were in this almost a year prior to COVID. So and we have seen the fruits of those successes. And the way we run the DBA program is very innovative. Dr. Drgawabathi again architected that, but it's to get our DBA students to actually work with these businesses and write their dissertations in association with these businesses. And what do they end up with? A, it's a dissertation topic that is needed and desired, but B, it gives that student an inside track for employment and long-term interactivity with that company. So I think it's a very good strategy, and I know that we're on the forefront of that in the United States.
Can I add something to
Yes.
that? So
Yes.
What does the Pacific Rim Business Council get out of the university? We get solutions. We get people to research and develop solutions. What does the California Miramar University get from us, the Pacific Rim Business Council? We bring them problems. We have an extensive global network to people with real problems. So on one hand, we're feeding problems to a university, and the university is feeding solutions. The other thing that the university gets with us, with connections, you want to talk to a minister or a business or a manufacturer or a producer or even a president or vice president of a company, we've done that for people. So imagine you're a student and suddenly you have access to people you'd never have access to before in an ivory tower closed off university environment. So that's what we see as the big thing. Is it's not a bunch of people working on problems differently. It's a holistic solution that involves business and government and organizations and knowledge. And we also have partners with other business councils like the Pacific Rim Business Council, which allows a global reach, not just within the Pacific. So it's a pretty interesting relationship that I haven't seen before.
And Sharif, if now that you're showing the face of our university, let me share with you something from where you don't have an access to. Can I share? Is that okay
Yes.
for me to share?
Yes, definitely.
Let me share with
definitely.
you here. My assumption is you can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Hold on a second. Okay.
Mhm.
So can you see this? This is. Let me share with you. This is.
Not anymore. You were sharing, now you're not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why?
Yes, I'm sharing. Yes, I'm sharing. Yes.
Can you see this class?
Yes.
Okay, this is a global business strategy. Now, it's a typical class, right? So look what students have to deal with, right? Students, they look at different aspects, right? Right now in here, they're dealing with something, let's say with Facebook. Each time they have a research discussion that they have to get involved, and they have to deal with is what Facebook doing under the name internet.org, is it going to be good or not? And then we get into absolutely very complicated type of discussions, and you can see these are ongoing discussions between professors and students. And or this is another class, seminars in advanced strategic management. You can see these are the latest. This just happened a week ago, right? So you can see the issues students have to deal with. These are in addition to the lesson material that they have to understand and assimilate. So you can see that even though theoretically speaking, students are dealing with issues related to strategy, but at the same time, they have to apply it to a particular issue that is happening right there and then. Some of the works they do is a group activity. So you can see some activities they have to do within a group, which they get together and they provide us solutions in such a fashion that it's very much, as Eric was saying, it's very much hands-on. And that's why we are thankful to PRBC. Also, we have a partner in the Middle East, centered in Turkey, Istanbul, called Expert Academy. And they have thousands of members in there, and we're interacting with governments. Like I just recently came back from a trip and I met with government officials at the ministerial level that their interests are very well defined. They have issues, they are dealing with issues, which I think we should get back from the university to the subject at hand, and that is what's happening with small and medium-sized businesses. Because as you might know, these are the really major contributors to the world economy. And, SMBs are really, as I said, we're talking about companies with 500 or fewer employees that what they do, you'd be amazed to hear that their essential role is about 90% of private sector. And they create 70% of all the world's jobs. So we're talking about a major force in the global economy, and they generate about 60% of all value added in high income countries. So we're talking about major part of the economy that is suffering today. And the question is, what happened? Today's question is, what happened and what can we do about it? What happened and what can we do about it? What happened? COVID came by. But to be honest, even if COVID wouldn't have been the jolt that change were here to begin with. Mega corporations such as Amazon, such as Alibaba, are pushing or dominating such essential and vibrant aspects of our economic underpin of our global economy, because of the fact that even though supposedly small is beautiful, SMBs are more flexible, agile, and more adaptable because they have a smaller scale. Guess what? That's not the case. They were small, Well, because they were small, they did not pay much attention to be able to deal with the market volatility that was created. And especially, we've seen each time a financial crisis came in, they did not have the resilience to be able to continue their existence, and they actually fell through. And their supply chain constraints were so limited because they actually were hoping that things are looking up, but that's not the case. Either they were eaten by major sharks such as Alibaba or such as Amazon, and they were actually employed by them, because there's a new event taking place. There's a new paradigm which is called ecosystem. Now,
Mhm.
major corporations are creating something called an e-business ecosystem, which they create a playing field and they tell everyone to come and play here. But unfortunately, some of these small businesses, either they were not prepared to do that, they did not how to deal with it, and that's why suddenly, when the issue of COVID-19 pandemic hit, it actually drowned a fair amount of these businesses. And today, despite the fact that we're hitting such a high mark when it comes to our so-called stock market, look, tens of thousands of small businesses have gone under. And today's discussion is, what can we do? What remedies are there out there for small and medium businesses to be able to adhere to in order to survive and to be able to plot a course forward in the new normal? The old normal is gone. Today, post COVID-19 has created a situation which we refer to as the new normal. And if people and if companies, especially SMBs, don't know how to play the game in this new playing field, then they have no chance of continuing their business.
Mhm.
Okay, and I
Thank you.
hate to
Thank you,
talk
sir.
so much, but can I add something to that real quickly?
Yes, yes, definitely, definitely.
So the kind of we've been asking the university to help us with 4 basic types of questions. The first in this new normal is, how do you develop and implement workforces and get them to work together so that your workforce, your team, stays with you through crisis? They weather them great. So it's really the people challenge, which is more important than ever. The other type of challenge that we ask the university to research for is about the new technologies, things like the platforms, like what's happening with Amazon and Alibaba, is Dr. Guyabati, but it's also about internet communications and artificial intelligence and data mining. How do small businesses keep up and utilize those to get what we call force multiplier? So it's, people and technology. And the third thing is, well, how do you put the people and the technology together to form sustainable and resilient solutions? Because it's great to have people and it's kind of great to know technology. Get them work together is a problem. And the fourth problem we've asked about, because now everything is global, is there's just this diversity of cultures and ideas and thoughts and the way people think. I know every time I talk to Moo, I learn a completely different perspective on the world. It's very good, very intelligent, but it's different. It's not in my normal mindset, for example. So we asked the university to help us and our small businesses with diversity. So it's kind of people, technology, sustainable solutions with people, technology, and implementing and handling diversity are the 4 major areas that we ask the university to help our small and micro businesses with.
Mhm. Thank you, sir. Basically, from different small medium enterprise, small business organization, what type of call actually we get from the practical field, from Malaysia, from Indonesia, example from Bangladesh, from India. Uh, Major thing is that how they go for the cash capitals. Now the money flows in the business going down everywhere, and they do not get enough sales. This is the reality. They do not get enough sales. Let's say example, hotel industry, they said, we do not get enough sales. Can we integrated technology? Can we integrated AI? Example, education system, they are saying that yes, border is closed, how we can integrate it with the international market? Yes, we can go for the online education system, but issue is that mm, uh, 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 my previous price and everything's I have to go down. So how we can survive with the big capacity? So there are many complex situations actually from World Talent Economy Forum we are getting from the market. Yes, beside that, maybe healthcare systems, they are moving forward. Different kind of tech business, they are moving forward. But most of the cases, even though e-commerce, they are moving forward, but many of the business, those who have traditional strategy and traditional approach, they are facing a lot of challenges. What the solution we can think right now? So even from Mr. Mu, Dr. Stan Foster, and especially Dr. Ali Goabadi.
Well, I think there's more than one solution. There's a lot of good articles on the internet to be found if you just do the search for the top business strategies during the COVID. But one of the most vital is assessing your finances. Okay, when you aren't getting the sales that you used to get because of the COVID, you may need to make some serious adjustments. You need to look at and analyze your workforce. Who made, I mean, here in the United States, it was called furloughed. A lot of companies furloughed their employees. One of the bigger employees, Disney, and the Disney parks. Okay, they just now have, furloughed tens of thousands of workers because right now it doesn't make sense. They've tried to hold on as much as they could, and they don't want to put these people in situations where they have to go on unemployment. But that's the stark reality of the times that we live in. And the other thing in any area that you're in is what are the government regulations? Some of the governments, if you have a very restrictive government regulatory system, and in the United States, it's even more complicated because these systems are regulated by the state and local governments. So you could have a state that was rather liberal, and you could have a local government that was in lockdown, and you're a small business and you're trying to adjust your cash flow accordingly. It's a very difficult situation to deal with. So an assessment of where you're at, really a very serious understanding of what your cash flow is, because if you don't stay in business and you don't regulate your cash flow, it's going to be irrelevant. And if there's government subsidies out there, you need to be on the lookout for those. Plan and see what ones apply to you and go after them rigorously. So it's a complex situation, but it's something that we teach at the university as well. You just have to be aware of the various complexities, the various factors and it's that risk analysis. Okay, risk reward. You might find some businesses in this has taken the COVID and they've turned it around, and they found an avenue that they never thought they would have ever been in their business until the COVID vaccine hit. But they reacted quickly. And I'll end on this. The analogy I use for our universities, because most universities are very bureaucratic. My analogy is it's like steering a cruise ship or an aircraft carrier. You make a decision that you're going to turn around. Okay, that takes you a significant amount of time with a significant amount of people. You might get another whole group that don't want to turn around. They only want to turn around a quarter of the way. That bureaucracy really can affect a business adversely. So for small and micro businesses, one of their strongest assets is their flexibility and their ability to move and seize the moment. So I think that if businesses, again, do that analysis, that SWOT analysis, strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And if you can accurately look and assess yourself, you have a much better chance of adapting in the short term, and then keeping an eye to what the business is going to be like when it turns around, because that's the other half of the equation. You can't put yourself at such risk by just dealing with the disease that you are put yourself in a very poor position once the COVID has come out of this initial cycle.
Excellent. Mr. Mo, what do you want to add? Yes.
You're muted, no?
Oh, sorry, I'm muted. Dr. Foster hit on two very important points on what needs to be done. There are two sides to it. One is the survival of your business, the immediate survival. Can you be as a business in this big environment? And I know when we talk about environment, people tend to think about the Pastel framework, but if you examine it close enough, yes, some of those factors actually affect small business management, but it's more for entrepreneurship and big corporations. But even that will give you some insight on what is happening around you. And if turns out your business is just there's no way to be a business anymore, then you might as well just cut your losses, become the entrepreneur instead of just a manager of your business. Because there's a very distinct difference between an entrepreneur and the manager of a small business. For the larger corporations, the distinction is lower. But for small business, there is a distinction. And the second part of this whole thing is the revival of your business. And so in the first, once you make the accession, you think you can figure it out. You think you can provide the customers with the experience they need. Then you can carry on, right? Provide it creatively, do it remotely, do it in a safe way. Maybe I see some gyms out there, right? You think gyms wouldn't be able to survive this, but no, they're thriving. How? Because their neighbors are not thriving, and their parking lot is all evicted. It's all not evicted; it's all empty now, unoccupied. So they move all their equipment outside, and people are working out literally outside, and they're loving it. Right? Who doesn't like fresh air when they work out? And maybe they got free tent visit. But in the winter, it might be problematic. But they can still, maybe some kind of greenhouse they can put out in the parking lot. But that's just creative thinking. That's an example. So if your business can survive on a strategy as creative as that, then good for you. Congratulations. And by this time, and if you're still in business, like I said last time, right? Congratulations, you're doing something right. Keep doing it. But if you cannot survive it, think of something else. Become the entrepreneur. Because some people, all their life they have working in that one business, that they have invested all in that one business. But just because you put all your efforts in one thing doesn't mean that thing is sustainable. Right? That's different, right? So as small business, because our audience are all small business, that's a good thing because they are super agile, even from the ownership point of view. They can even get out of the business. Just call it. Keep our employees, right? Keep the society running. Say, hey, our business model is not working. Let's get into another business. Right? What are you gonna do after I get into another business? Stay with me. Like, we still need people. Right? People make business. But the second part of this is the revival of our business. Plan ahead. What's gonna happen after COVID? Right? Arguably, you can start a fleet of Uber drivers or whatever the equivalent in your own country is, deliver food for people. But after COVID, there is going to be a drop in the demand of that kind of experiences. Right? The experience of having food in their home. People will naturally want to go out back out again. And I doubt the number will bounce to it was before, because once you go home, you never really want to go out anymore. There are people like that, but I would argue there are still people just naturally want to go out, and that there's nothing wrong with that. But if you have a business that's suited for COVID and not ready for what's happening after COVID, you're gonna get yourself in trouble again. So business thriving now doesn't mean they will survive in the future. So Dr. Foster hit on the head with both counts. And through my talking through those 2 points, I keep mentioning the word experience. And why is that? Because goods can be luxury goods and can be necessities. Service can be necessity service and luxury service, like haircut. Look at my hair. I don't even cut it anymore because that's not a necessity. But what is always a necessity is not necessarily good or service, and it's something what we call experience. And Joseph Pine, the second, he I think he's a Harvard graduate, and he's right now a private consultant, but on a just whole other level. he specialized in experience economy. He argues that even before the COVID, and he started arguing the experience economy since the late 90s, very early 2000s, and he argued that all things eventually end up, doesn't matter if you're a product or you are a service, as long as you're innovation, you eventually end up in a situation where the stuff you're selling become commoditized. And that means the only thing you can compete with your competitors are on pricing, because the stuff customer get is no different. That we are talking about, it's harder. Goods, product, phones, right? iPhone started with very innovative product, but nowadays they're almost commoditized. A lot of people only look at price when they buy phones now. Aside from the ego, and they want to buy. Even Apple is seeing that, right? That's why they're offering lower priced products. And the service may be harder to make the connection, but think about it. What is a service? Service is something that you pay to save your time. Oil change, right? And another thing is haircut, right? You can learn to cut your own hair, but it takes forever, right? You can have your spouse train for carrying hair. It takes forever for them to learn to become an hair stylist. So that's what the service is. But what's distinct from service and experiences? You actually pay to enjoy that experience. You pay to spend time with the experience. And that is what Richard is arguing, that we are either want to be in a situation where the stuff we're offering is actually the experience, it's something people love to spend time with, or we're already there, because the theory was put together about 30 years ago, and today we are really living in a society where when you go to a restaurant, you don't just expect food. You expect service, but you don't expect service anymore. You expect the experience of being well served. And if that's the way of thinking, all this is to give you inspiration, because I don't know what business you do, right? You know your business better than anybody else. But with that school of thought, with that way of thinking, you would start thinking, I owe a shop, but what really is our customer coming here for? Maybe they are trying to save time, right? We are the closest shop to their house. But why don't we make ourselves such an experience when they visit us, they actually enjoy visiting with us, instead of just doing a chore? Right? So that is the thought before COVID, but I bet that is also the cause after COVID. And COVID actually gave everybody a freebie, right? Part of the experience is feeling safe, right? If people don't feel safe in your shop, then this COVID, even after the vaccine comes out, people will still need to have a need to be mentally safe, right? So they want to know everybody in the shop is actually immune to the virus, or at least virus free. So how do you provide that? Right? That's some kind that's some idea to look into, right? Maybe ensure now for your customer within their experience are within 6 feet of each other. That's one way to do it. But maybe give them a card every time they visit you, and or track their. This is more of a business solution, big business solution. So every time you want to go into a Walmart, you have to prove to them that you have been tested.
Mm-hmm.
And test kits are more available nowadays, and I'm going over my time, but test kits are more widely available nowadays. Maybe that can be part of her experience, right? So there are a lot of things to think of, and I guess good luck, have fun thinking about it. Hopefully your business can survive during the revival period as well.
Yes, thank you. I want to take few questions from audience. Then I directly want to ask these questions, Dr. Ali Goabadi, Mr. Eric, Dr. Stan Foster, and Mr. Mu. But there is a few questions because we have to finish this session in between 1 hour 30 minutes. Anika Shams, how to make our business more sustainable? I think already Dr. Ali Goabadi come up with the idea, and Mr. Eric also come up with the idea of sustainability. Uh, Mehdi, his question is that, hello sir, which factors prioritize for making strategic planning? Mohammad Shohelana, is there any specific suggestion that small group of enterprise can receive the strategic business policy? So I want to start with Dr. Ali.
I mean, obviously, if you want to specifically go there, first of all, the word strategy and strategy alliance and strategy definition is a buzzword. When people get to it and you ask them, could you please tell me about your strategy and talk about it for half an hour, they're finished with everything they know within the first 5 minutes. And then you see they're looking at tactics, they're looking at marketing ploys, and they think they're talking about strategy. Now, that's where really the reality is. Today, we do need to know exactly what we mean when we say strategy. How did you come up with your strategy? Who says this is your strategy? Who says you didn't just read this in some book or you didn't hear it somewhere? We see small businesses talk about strategy, and it shows obviously they're talking about Alibaba's strategy. They're not talking about their strategy. Strategy is very much pertinent to what you do, as everyone was trying to say. There is no way around it. The time that it was everything was available and you could ride the waves are gone. There is no wave. Yes, there was a huge wave, but that wave sort of killed everyone. And it's not bad in reality. Let me again zoom out and then zoom in back to the questions. You see, like sometimes things happen that are bad, but in reality they're good. Like, for so many years, right? I mean, if you look at history, right, for 180 million years, uh, all the dinosaurs had all the fun in the world and they were at the top of the food chain and they ruled the world, right? And then 66 million years ago, suddenly a COVID happened to them, right? A devastating asteroid impact. And guess what? Dinosaurs are gone. That was really bad for the dinosaurs, right? They died. They couldn't survive. Well, it was very good for us, meaning the mammals. It gave us a chance to become who we are. Now, we're talking about 80 million, 60 million, 180 million. But look what's happening as we go forward. How long did it take for Christopher Columbus or for whoever wanted to travel to go like Ibn Battuta to go and through there? You see, it took them years to go around the globe or took them years to go from one side to another. But today we can do that within a few hours. I can go from here to other side of the world within a few hours. It seems like things are becoming faster and faster. Yes, this pandemic did change history by transforming populations, societies, economies, standards, government, governing structures. But to be honest, something good will come out of it. A lot of dinosaurs will die. This could be small dinosaurs. But what happens? Agility is the end result of what's happening. Now, what's happening today is the necessity for those who manage to know how to manage, not just to see the trends. Because, first of all, who knows what the trend is? No one can today tell you that this is the trend or that's the trend, unless one is willing to go ahead and examine their business from strategic point of view. Never before we were forced to rethink what we do, to reevaluate what we do, to be able to look at it again and ask pertinent, specific, authentic questions about our business venture. Today, there is no possible solution at our reach unless we're willing to go through the whole 9 yards, right? We have to ask those questions that are pertinent to our survival. Today, survival means we have to rethink exactly what Eric was saying. It's not just about your business, the way you used to do it, but your business in view of all these changes that are happening, in view of all the free forms of education, free forms of interaction free, and I mean free, in terms of all the new. It used to be trust based, right? I trusted X and X trusted Y, and that's how we did business. Guess what? X and Y died, and I don't mean just physically died, their business died. How are you gonna die? Because it wasn't your fault that X died. Actually, it's no one's fault. An asteroid hit the Earth. But what happened? Today, things are happening so fast. No longer 80 million, 5 million, 5 years, not even 5 months. Just go ahead and see what happened within, like, I think from, if I'm not mistaken, about 26% of small businesses, small and medium businesses closed from January to May of 2020. But you know, this number doubled to 50% in some developing countries such as Ireland and Bangladesh. And this, I'm talking about global state of small business that was reported by OECD. So you can see that what we're OECD, I'm sorry. So you can look at what's happening. 62% of small and medium businesses are reporting slower sales. Guess what? But at the same time, look at what's happening at Amazon. Their growth has gone through the roof. What's happening? How do you, as a small business, redefine yourself? The only chance a small business has is to be able to come up with a very specific, authentic, not cut and paste, authentic solution that is strategic in nature to their particular situation in that new paradigm, because there is a shift of paradigm. To do that, they need to actually act the way big guys act, except they ain't got the money, they ain't got the resources, they even don't have a manager who understands this thing. That is where places such as Pacific Rim Business Council comes into the picture. Number one, Pacific Rim Business Council can educate its members about what new ways are there. Pacific Rim Business Council can develop a new framework, a new methodic means of developing a strategy formulation for small businesses, micro businesses, to keep on working without having to go and hire someone from Harvard. Are there dummified version of what the big guys do that small businesses can use? The short answer is yes. But the work is the same. I mean, we always have a saying that say, know thyself. Without knowing yourself, there is no way for you to go forward. Without knowing your business, without knowing that you have to ask the hard questions and have the courage to find the answers and have the courage of making mistakes. These are the new normals. And in these new normals, there is no normal way of doing things. You have to define your new normal. So the question organizations, small and micro businesses need to ask is, what is this normal and what is my new normal? Maybe no longer, as Mo was saying, you can continue doing your business the way you used to. Maybe you do have to go out to the parking lot. Maybe you do have to go to the customer's door. I don't know what you have to do. But one thing we know is how you go about, number one, understanding your environment, scanning the environment. Number two, looking at what Stan was saying, doing your SWOT analysis. Number three, how you go about scrutinizing. And I use the word scrutinize, scrutinizing your internal being, and then be able to understand the difference between what a goal is, what of these goals strategic in nature, what are your core competencies, why were you in this business, what made you successful if you were, and what are those core competencies? Are those core competencies still valid, or in view of this asteroid that hit Earth, no longer those core competencies? Core competencies mean things that you could do that others cannot easily copy. If it was, let's say, your core competency, a relationship with a particular supplier, and that particular supplier died, guess what? You don't have that core competency anymore. For example, in our university, our resilient approach has been we do not depend on a particular recruiter. People come to us because of how we deliver education. Actually, our students bring us our students. In reality, our students are part of our, as a matter of fact, we took them as the most important aspect of our stakeholder analysis, and they are the most important. And by the way, they have the most to lose if the university doesn't do good, and they have the most to gain if the university does well. So we've been rethinking. The question is, new normal means new everything. And it's time to start thinking. Nothing can replace thinking.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Ali, for your excellent analysis. I directly want to go to Mr. Eric. What do you want to add, especially you are expert from the industry?
Yeah, well, I've worked with major corporations. We've had clients like Abercrombie and Fitch and Apple. I've worked with small and micro businesses, and I have a lot of time spent in the startup industry, startup companies. And the key that most people have to realize is your business becomes who you become. And so are you a person that can become what your business needs? And most people that I've worked with start with this idea of search for the gold at the end of the rainbow, the magic button. Give me the one thing I can do without understanding anything that works. It's like saying, I want to be healthy. Can you just give me a pill? Can I go to the gym once and work on one machine, and that's going to solve all my problems? And the number one challenge with businesses, even if it's small, is there are a lot of moving pieces. It's like a car. You've got an engine and wheels and a transmission and navigation system. All those things have to work together. And the number one thing is people don't understand what the business is supposed to do, what the pieces are, and how to put them together. So the number one thing to think about is what Dr. Drgawabathi was talking about, which is, do you understand yourself and your market? And less important than the answers is, are you asking yourself the right questions? And it's very hard for you to do this yourself. I have consulted with and interviewed hundreds of businesses, and it's so easy sometimes to look at business and say, well, you need to do this, here's what. But when I do it for myself, like with the Pacific Rim Business Council, I need help. We have a chief strategy officer and a finance officer and a marketing officer, and we have to beat each other up because it's really hard to ask yourself the right questions. And to tell you the truth, most of them are simple. Most of them are really simple questions. Questions like, well, who do you want to help? What makes you think your business is so successful? What is it your business really does? And a lot of times you have to really answer those simple questions, and you can't. That's actually how I became the chief executive officer of the Pacific Rim Business Council. We start off as partner. We just start asking these questions. Simple questions. They go, those are really good questions that we should know the answer. So the analysis is the first part of your strategy. And that's really about asking yourself the right questions and honestly answering those, and finding people who can answer the questions you don't know about. Like, I know we have something to do with e-commerce. What's going on with e-commerce that I need to think about? The second part of that strategically is formulating an answer. After you understand yourself and your market, what do you want to do about it? What are the right things? How do you put those pieces together? Because holistically, you've got to get the branding, the sales, the marketing, the operations, the supply chain, all working together. And then the tricky part is, even if you were really good at understanding, analyzing, and really good at coming up with a solution is way different than implementing a solution. And that's true when you talk to anybody. I remember I had a plumber, and I had him doing some extensive work, and the plumber said to me, "Oh, you can do this yourself." And he gave me detailed explanations how to do this very simple thing. Next thing I know, I'm at a hardware store looking at 5 things that look about the same to me, not understanding which of those to buy and how to put. I mean, his directions were so simple and so clear, but the first time I had to do it, it was like, I'm looking at YouTube and saying, can I look at a video of somebody do it? Because Implementation is a different skill than formulating a plan, which is a different skill than analyzing. Some people are really good at analyze. Some people are really good at planning. Some people are good at execution. And that has been the secret to the when I've had a really big success, it's because we got those people together, and they're not usually the same person. Even if it's somebody outside that helps you, the person that can help you understand yourself, whether it's you or not, and the person that can help you come up with a plan and execute the plan, they're different mindsets. So your business becomes who you become, and you have to be somebody who can understand that and use it. Successful business is not the thing you do one time. It's how you think, feel, and act every day over time. There's something, called the slight edge. And people think success looks like this. You're here one day, and then all of a sudden you're successful. It's kind of like this idea that, Sharif, you brush your teeth every day and I don't. Are we that different in a week, or are you flossing? In a week? No, we start seeing a month, but look at us 5 years from now. You've got great teeth and I don't. So it's a lot of these things is what you do, how you think and feel and act and every day. And so the biggest thing as a business owner you have to is change the way you think, act, and feel, and be able to, with that, bring in whoever you need, what resource help. And that's really what the Pacific Rim Business Council is all about, is one, helping people understand you can act globally, even if you're a small micro business, and two, giving them the resources that normally you don't have access to and can't afford. That's our mission. So that's a long-winded way to say the biggest things that you can do to make your business more successful is become who you need to become, because your business becomes who you become.
Thank you for your strategic applications analysis. So hopefully in the real world. Yeah.
I wanted to add
yeah.
a little thing to that, and what Eric just said is really to the crux of the challenge. When you're smaller business, people don't like necessarily to be the chef, cook, and bottle washer. They have to do everything in the business, but that's in essence, you need to do that when you're a smaller business. Now, that goes, the yin to that yang is that you also need to know what you're not good at, okay, and need to know what you don't know, because it's what you don't know that's going to really hurt you. so if you can take, one of the things that the Pacific Rim Business Council does, Eric calls it, do it with you. Not do it for you. Do it for you. You're hands off. You just hire it off, but you don't have money right now to hire somebody and hand it off. But that plumbing example is exactly on point. The plumber said, "Listen, I'll go down to the store with you. We'll buy these things together." Okay. And then he walks you through a little bit. That just that guiding hand over your shoulder saying, no, that's the wrong piece. I know they look a lot alike, but that's the wrong piece. That's an interesting option that the Pacific Rim Business Council offers to the small businesses. So I think that lone differentiator, I think, can be significant, because if you want to do it by yourself, then there's nothing stopping you, and the advice you're getting is putting you in that right direction. The only thing I'd add to that is I would be looking at my competition. And we're a university. I wouldn't look to the big state universities. I look to the other smaller universities that and saying, what are they doing, and what have they done, and what has worked and what hasn't worked, and then try to form my strategies around that, because again, then you have a larger pool on which to call on. So I do think that strategy, along with the ability to have it done with experts, I think it could be a significant game changer for a lot of the smaller and mini businesses.
Thank you, sir. There are a lot more questions from audience, but I will take last 3 questions because we have time limitations, because I think in between 15 minutes we have to go for the closing the session. There is a huge question from audience, but I will take 3 best questions. Okay, Hosna Arafat does. Hello, sir. Tell about women entrepreneurs, how they reconstruct their business mind after COVID. Ale Ahmed, welcome again, sir. Do you think that expert mind can help the developing nations to reconstruct the business? Nur Fazreen, greetings from Malaysia. How can the local business consider the different kind of client in this pandemic? I want to start with Mr. Mu, then Mr. Eric, then Dr. Stan Foster, and finally we will go for Dr. Ali Goabadi for answer as well as concluding to the session. Mr. Mu.
I, how does women entrepreneurs deal with COVID? I don't think that there needs to be a distinction between the sex of the entrepreneur, and I'm using sex, not gender, because that's a whole other kind of worm we don't open today. But what's really important is feminism and masculinity, because those two words doesn't mean man only has masculinity, and it doesn't mean woman only has feminism. The distinction between the two is culturally is, the masculinity is aimed towards achievement, is aggressive, and it wants to, doesn't matter what happened to the world, I want to be the successful one. That's the masculinity attitude. But the feminist attitude, the feminist touch is we collaborate. Everybody needs to work together to make things happen. And I think for too many years, the so-called toxic masculinity, but not in a way that the world means it. It has been occupying the business mind for too long. And why do I say that? Because the competition of business nowadays, if you look at the so-called classic strategies, it's all aimed towards destroying or surviving from the destruction from others, instead of working with others. At the end of the day, we're all humans. We need to work as a society to improve instead of tiring each other down. And we talk about strategy, right? You have two strategies to deal with your neighbors. Doesn't matter if they are your competitor or if they are your collaborator. They are your neighbors. They are in the same industry as you. Do you work with them or do you work against them? If you work against them, you might win. But even if after you win, you actually eat into each other's profit a little bit. Because the price war, even you win a price war, yes, you can price higher afterwards, but in reality, you have commoditized your own product. So maybe that's not such a wise way to go. Maybe the feminists do get the wiser way. It's just because they're not aggressive, they didn't get the say of the world. But today, more than ever, so-called women's right has come in a long way. And somebody keeps texting me, I don't know. But at the end of the day, collaboration is the way to go, and that is my remark on how women needs to think in a reality as COVID. And I'm not advocating what women should think. I'm advocating men should think like everybody should think like a so-called stereotypical woman.
Yes, but beside that, according to World Bank, glass ceiling factor is the biggest issues right now. Even in USA, Malaysia, everywhere glass ceiling factors happening, and it take another 99 years, 99.6 years for overcome from these glass ceiling factors. So that's why maybe women can come up with the idea that they are facing a lot of problem in terms of social issues or family issues. So I think I want to go for the Pacific Rim Business Council. I think as they have a lot of industry experience, they can share their views with us.
Well, we talked about how your business becomes who you become. There's another thing about that when you talk, especially with women, is whatever goal you have in mind to do, there's somebody whose goal it is to help you do that. Passionately, whatever you want to passionately achieve, somebody is passionately thinking about, I want to help. And a lot of them will help for free. Just look at all the YouTube videos that people post for no money, just because they want to help people. So if you know what you need, if you can do that first part of the analysis, and by the way, somebody will help you come up with that analysis of what you do. But once you do that, there's somebody who wants to help you. And it's not one person. You may need 5 or 10 or 20, or may only need one, but there's somebody who wants to help you with that. Here's the key. Help for a feminine mindset is different than a masculine mindset. That communication and support network is different. A good friend of mine, Felina Hansen, started a co-working site, like Amu was talking about early, that is not for women only. She gets upset if you say it's a women only, but it's designed with women in mind. It's women centric. It's women mindset. And because of that, differently, what she's incorporated into this franchise model that's going globally is this idea of providing a place that women want to work in a way they work, but also providing that mentorship that we talked about, making sure there's somebody who's passionate, wants to help them in anything, a big mentor network. The other thing is funding, because women have a tougher challenge getting certain people to listen, because there's that bias on who you present and how you present, and that communication can be different. So it's often difficult for women to communicate the same way. So what they did is formed a group of people that are used to, it's not that their goals are that different. It's the way that help is provided needs to be tweaked that way. And I've learned that the hard way, being really good at helping diverse, and not just women, diversity. So I don't even think about it as a women issue. I think it's a diversity issue. If you help, Mu is much better at helping, Chinese people than I am. And it's not that I don't am any less passionate. It's he knows things I don't. And so it's very important to have people that understand very well that women communication issue. That being said, once you understand this and get help, the 3 questions you need to ask yourself is, what should we be doing differently? What can we do differently to do better? The second question is, what can we do new? And the third question is, what can we do to build for the future when it's not ready yet? We're not out of COVID yet. That doesn't mean I can't get ready now. So those are really the 3 things: is realize somebody wants to help you if you can understand what you need help with. And if you don't, somebody wants to help you understand what you need help with. And then think about getting help in thinking and implementing what you can do different. So we did a whole bunch of different stuff in helping. And I know the university is doing everything different. But the other thing is they're doing a lot of things that are new. So they've done both new radical things. And the other thing is, if you talk to Dr. Drgawabathi, I think he's every day talking to somebody he doesn't even know is going to help yet, because he's building those relationships for the future. And some of them are going to pay off and some are not. So hopefully that's helpful.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Stan Foster.
Thank you. As you've been talking, the last couple of speakers, I just was thinking about our own business with California Miramar University. And the university definitely has a feminine mindset. We have more board of directors that are women than men. But more importantly, Dr. Drgawabathi and I both have rather a feminine mindset on when it comes to helping students. We have one large at-risk population with our undergraduate. We have a lot of sports students. They're the first in their families to ever go to school. They didn't have a solid high school education even, so they need a lot more tender, loving care and consideration, because they didn't come into the university as prepared as other students have. And so but beyond that, we care. Our classes tend to be smaller. When we see somebody in struggling, we reach out to them during the session to try to work with them, because sometimes, particularly with our international students, they've come and many times they're taught not to communicate and reach out and be forthcoming or be aggressive in talking with their professors, which in an American university system, that's expected. So it's one thing to tell people, don't be shy and come out and really ask any question that's on your mind. And the total difference of that, When they don't do that, somebody's caring, somebody's watching, and then we go to them and say, listen, we see that you're struggling a little bit. What can we do to help? So again, I think that kind of a mindset is really wonderful for women-owned businesses. But I do agree that the biggest struggle, and I think outside the United States, inside the United States, they have some special programs where there's special funding for women-owned businesses. And the government, anybody that's in the government and receives government contracts in the United States, has to do so much of their business, over 50% of it, by the way, with minority-owned businesses, which women-owned businesses is one of those minorities. So that we have some built-in checks and balances here in the United States. Now, I would say probably for the women-owned businesses outside the United States, you need to look what your competitors are doing, but also look what kind of programs the government has. And now, there was new programs announced in our county in San Diego over the weekend. And the county of San Diego, not the federal government, but the county of San Diego is making $20 million worth of grants available to small companies that were adversely affected by these varying shutdowns that are placed up on us by the state government. And so it was, again, that didn't exist last week. So there's constant, opportunities that are coming. Again, I can't speak in all of the countries, but look, if you need to be very proactive in utilizing the internet and conducting your searches within your country. And again, reach out, as Eric said, Pacific Rim Business Council offers some of these services, and many of them are for free. So take advantage of that. Reach out and pick our brains. So that's what I would leave on that note.
Thank you. Yes, I directly want to go to Dr. Ali Goabadi for the concluding remarks because I know that they are very busy. They have some special meetings and the defense today. So, Dr. Ali Goabadi for today's concluding remarks.
Thank you so much. I mean, on a woman, I will just put it this way. We've been fighting through different means in trying to go against the so-called prejudice against women and trying to get rid of the so-called glass ceilings. But guess what? It continues and it persists and will continue to persist. It's like saying, I don't like pandemic. Guess what? Deal with it. It's here. The issue of discrimination against women, discrimination against sexes has always been, and I think will continue to be. Maybe we need to change the problem. And that's what I think both Mo and Eric alluded to. Issue is not sex, because what you're trying to say, a woman is like a man? I don't think so. I don't think you can ever resolve this. As long as these differences exist, these problems persist. That's fact. I'm not a woman. So all I can say from an observer point of view is that as far as I can see, women and men are different. And as soon as you got these differences will exist. I don't care which way you go. Maybe we need to do a re-examination. Maybe we need to accept the problem of pandemic as we accept the problem of the main differences between men and women, and look at it maybe from a different perspective. The perspective of what it was mentioned, femininity versus masculinity. Maybe that's where we have to go. If you're a woman, then you're a woman. If you're a man, then you're a man. So let's deal with it as it is. Accept the problem and deal with it. I believe feminine approach, which usually women have to have a better acumen to deal with it, is the future. So why not build on that? Rather than worrying about your sex, worry about your approach and work on it. At least accept the fact that men and women are different, but deal with the issue of femininity, because femininity is superior to masculinity. Even though masculinity on a short term have a tendency to be more productive, but on long term, femininity has been shown to be better, especially in view of what this pandemic has brought forward. So as a woman, which you happen to be a woman, but be feminine. Women who try to be masculine will fail more than men who try to be masculine. But all in all, masculinity, where all these wars took place, may be no longer relevant. So maybe we need to have a shift of paradigm and look at the new normal when it comes to the battle of the sexes. But I'm not going to stay in that area too long, because that's, first of all, we don't have women here. And who are we to discuss women? So if you want to discuss men, I'll be more than happy to discuss it. But back to what we are about. I think the solution, not just to this particular issue with micro and small businesses, but dealing with what's happening every day in the world with this fast changing environment, is the ability to create resilience. Resilience. What do I mean by resilience? That means something that can be measured and shows a person or an organization's ability to survive under adverse circumstances. That's what I mean by resilience, right? We are in need of a reliable, strategic resilience system, personal, family, society, or business, right? And that means create the capacity to be able to respond adaptively, you know, find the situation, adapt to it, to an unprecedented situation. That is what we need to be able to recover swiftly with some sort of an acceptable cost so it doesn't kill you. And by the way, if it doesn't kill you, it does make you stronger. That is, I think, and that cannot happen unless we adhere to the ability of continuous learning, to be able to have our body, our family, our society, our company, to be able to adapt and self organize in trying to never lose control, in retaining control over all the vulnerabilities that a particular person. Now, if you got asthma, that's different. If you are in a particular situation where you need to do certain other actions to be resilient, that's different. But as I said, it's very much pertinent to what a person, family, society, or an organization is. That's why resilience is, I think, the focus. And next, I mean, the week after next, we'll be discussing resilience specifically. Resilience in any organization. And that organization could be self, could be family, could be society, could be neighborhood, or could be a company, requires awareness about alternatives. You cannot be set on your mind. To be able to consider the idea of resilience for any crisis, what one needs to be able to look at plausibility of possible solution, and to be able to really achieve a certain measurable, reliable set of strategic initiatives to be able to cope with all these challenges that we are facing. Again, it's a challenging time. Is it bad? Not really. As I said, it was bad for the dinosaurs. They all perished. But guess what? It was a great opportunity for the mammals. To be honest, for each and every one of you, if you understand who you are and when you are and where you are, and understand the ability to learn and adhere to the fact that your ability for innovation and agility, your courage to make a mistake, to go where no one has gone before, will allow you to better perform, to be able to continue surviving and even learn how to prosper and grow. This is what it is. And I think you need to understand the value and place of technological infrastructure to be able to promote your business resilience, because today technology is an integral part of our life in a ubiquitous manner, that we actually don't live any longer in this world, but we live in a virtual world. So I wish you all the very best and hope to be able to discuss what I mean. And we, I guess, all can discuss what we mean by resilience and how you can become more resilient. Thank you all for attending. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Ali, and thank you, everyone, those who joined today's sessions. And we are trying to engage with a lot of universities, different governments, and the corporations, and we are getting very good response from Asia Pacific. Not only Asia Pacific, even Africa, from Asia, from Europe, and USA. So our target is that we want to create a knowledge-based community. So hopefully, with the collaboration of Pacific Crime Business Council and California Miramar University, we will achieve our objective. And we want to share one of the good news with Pacific Crime Business Council. This year, we win Futuristic Leadership Award from TAF. This is another global think tanks. For our contributions in the global arena with World Talent Economy Forums. So hopefully, with the collaborations of California Miramar University and Pacific Rim Business Council, our local community from Malaysia and around the Asia Pacific, they will be benefited in the future. Thank you very much. Thank you for all of your support. Thank you, Doctor. Thank you. Thank you. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.